What's good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod back with another video, and today we are going to be doing the weekly live show that I like to do on here every week, Thursday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Right now, we are on the same time as Pacific Standard Time, so everybody on the West Coast, 6 o'clock, East Coast, 9 o'clock. So I just want to thank everybody that tunes in on these shows. We're going to continue doing these every week. And as long as you guys have questions, I'll continue to hop on here and provide you guys with some answers. And like I said, I'm trying to be as consistent as possible. This is week number 5. And the goal is just to continue going, continue growing, and just keep going as that. So I'll wait till we get some more people in the chat. And throughout this whole time, I'll stay on here as long as we got some solid questions. It's probably 45 minutes to an hour. I like to keep it as. So I'll continuously check the chat. If you guys have any questions, drop it in the live stream, and I'll get you guys as soon as possible. I did screenshot a couple questions from previous videos just to start off the show, and we can kind of just go on from there. So we got the tag in here. What's going on? S. Marie, good evening. Hope everything is good with you. We got Shar in here. How you doing? Patrick, positive vibes. That's what's up. We got good positive vibes. We're going to keep it going. I love San Diego. Got to go back out there soon. So just to start things off real quick, I got a question from Omar Rodriguez, and this is on one of my videos I think I put a couple days ago. He says, when listing on eBay, can all 50 free listings be used with only shoes, or does it have to be different item categories? Now, I screenshotted this one because I thought it was a good question. I know a lot of people are not necessarily on eBay right now. Some people are really just selling on some of the more simpler platforms like Mercari or Poshmark. And a lot of people always have questions when it comes to eBay. So with eBay, if you were to just start an eBay account today, everybody gets 50 free listings. On eBay, it's a little different. It's a little different in terms of compared to Poshmark, because every listing on Poshmark is free. You don't pay any fees until the item is paid for. But with eBay, it's a little different. They try to charge fees for everything. So your first 50 listings, they're going to give that first 50 to you for free. So you can use those 50 listings for any category. You can do buy now, or you can do it as an auction. But however you want to do it, you're just limited to that first 50 free. After that, I think you have to spend 30 cents to list. And then once your item sells, then you have to pay what's called a final value fee, which is essentially a fee based on how much the item sells for, which is anywhere between like 10 and 13%. Then you also pay fees towards how much ever you charge for shipping. Now, for me, it sounds like, as I'm saying it sounds like a ton of fees. And of course, at the end of the day, it is mad fees. But the thing that I like to do to kind of maybe make this fees a little smaller is I tend to offer free shipping on the majority of my items, and I don't accept offers on like 95% of my items. So when something sells, I usually already factor in the cost of shipping to that item. That way the buyer, once they see the price, they already see that, okay, I don't have to pay for shipping. They might have to pay for tax depending on what state they're in, but I just try to make it more easier for the buyer to not be overwhelmed with seeing a bunch of different prices. And usually if I'm going to accept offers on an item, and 99% of the time, I'm also going to charge for shipping. That way, if I'm saying taking off $10 or $15, I know I'm still gonna have the buyer cover the cost of shipping. So let's hop back into the chat. Let's see who's in here. Henry Lester, only for the winner. That's the end of that song. Yeah, you rock with that song heavy. That's what's up. That's my boy Rashawn. He makes those songs. He does all the music that's in the videos, all the intros, the outros. He does all of those stuff. We got Sean Armstrong. How are you identifying Ross's, other retail stores, or thrifts to target? How are you identifying what stores get what kind of stock? So for me, since I'm usually just selling shoes, like that's what I'm trying to focus on. I'm still selling electronics and little random stuff here and there if I pop into the thrift stores and I find a good deal. But for me, if I know I'm going to Ross, I'm usually going to Ross and I'm just hitting the shoe section. I don't do a ton of retail arbitrage in other places. For me, I like Ross, Marshalls, and Burlington. Everything else, like the outlets, is kind of high up there too. But for the most part, I like to stick to those 4 places to do a lot of my retail arbitrage. I've never went to a Target and done anything like that because I'm not an Amazon seller. So I know, a lot of people that sell on Amazon, they will go to the grocery store, they'll go to Target, CVS, wherever, and they'll find a deal. For me, I'm really going into places where I know they have shoes. So anywhere that sells shoes is where I go to find inventory. And I'm starting to go every day now, because I'm learning that, trying to figure out their new processes, since like inventory is starting to get sent to Ross more often. So I'm just trying to figure out like their strategies. I'm trying to figure out when they put out the new stuff. And only way to figure that out, I know a lot of people ask, when does Ross get new stuff? When does when does Burlington get new stuff? Sometimes you can ask and they might tell you, like, come back tomorrow at so and so time. But for me, I found that the best way to do it is just to be consistent. You want to go sometimes early in the day, sometimes in the middle of the day. And by going more often, you get a chance to see for yourself exactly when they put stuff out. Let's see. When you buy the Nike Elite cleats, how much do you profit on those? I seen them at Ross for $2.99. I don't know if I should pick them up. Certain cleats aren't necessarily worth it. Even for $2.99, you might sell them for $20. But if you charge for shipping, you might barely make $5. You might barely make $7. So if you're into the smaller profits, you might go ahead and do that. But there's some cleats just sell for more money. You know what I mean? I've seen some cleats that were $2.99 and they were still selling for sometimes $50-$60. But you got to do the research. You got to type in the style code. You got to try to figure out the name of the shoe. Put the style code of the shoe either in eBay or on Google, and you just got to try to figure out what the name of the shoe is. And then once you find the exact name, then you can check the comps, the sold listings on eBay, and see how much it's actually selling for. Some cleats at $2, I'm still passing on it, especially if it's a huge size. I still leave it alone. It just depends on what the shoe is, because not every cleat is going to be worth money. Becky Shep, do you sell on Facebook Marketplace? No, I don't do too much local stuff. I need to try to see if I can source for items locally, but the reason why I don't do too much Facebook Marketplace stuff, I know I'm not like a in-person salesperson. For me, I love the fact that everything is online. I ship it out fast, and I like to do stuff online. Some people, they love that hassle and that negotiation. That type of stuff makes me cringe. I hate it, because people always try to get over on you, and I'm not the toughest negotiator. If you say your price is your price, I'm going there and I'm trying to buy that, and that's it. When it comes to like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, it's just too much of a hassle. When I sold my first 3 items on eBay, they charged me the fee. So that's the thing. It's 50 free listings, but you can list it for free. Once the item sells, you have to pay that item. You have to pay that final value fee. So you still need to pay that fee at the end of the quarter or the end of the month. Whenever that eBay statement comes out, I'm not exactly sure. I know it's like 30 days, but once those 30 days are up, you have to still pay. Now, the only time you would pay no fees at all is if you're listing athletic shoes that's over $100. If they sell for over $100, and say you sold 3 pairs of Jordans and they all sold for $120, you wouldn't have got charged anything, because eBay gives you free I think it's 0% final value fees on athletic shoes over $100. So anything less than that, even if it's $99.99, you still gonna have to pay the fee. So just keep that in mind. That's your best bet in terms of like trying to avoid it. I see we got a super chat here. That's what's up. Toya Wright Michael, $9.99. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the knowledge you share with the viewers. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love a nice super chat. Anytime, all super chats are welcome. Thank y'all. Thank you very much. All right, let's keep it going. We got Bus Stop Hustle in the building. All right, so are you and your lovely wife going to do any more thrift store haul videos? Yeah, we definitely gonna get have her back on camera, start doing some more thrift store shopping. I don't do as much thrift store shopping as I used to. That's one big thing. That's one huge portion of the business that I no longer like do as often as I used to. I told people all the time, when I was in Cali, we used to go to the thrift store every single day. My gym was right across the street from like the best Goodwill in the city, so I would literally go every single day, sometimes 2-3 times on the weekends if I'm like around that area. And the thrift stores out here are just so expensive that it doesn't make sense to try to keep going every day. And I'm not going to say you can't find good deals, because you definitely can find some good stuff, but it's just not the same. So I find myself almost like trading time for money. And it's like the time I'm spending in some of these thrift stores in Arizona just isn't worth the potential profit. So that's why I don't go as often. But we're going to get her back on camera, have her doing her thing. What's good, bro? The Kelly Hustle, what's going on? How you doing? Rajan, have you tried selling stuff for your friends and taking a part of the profit? I've started doing this because I can't source right now, but I'm not sure if it's the best option. I thought of doing that, but I just felt like once you start involving other people, like trying to source through your friends, I feel like it has potential to kind of damage your relationships. And not only that, for me, I just know it wasn't necessarily worth it, because I'm always like trying to teach people how to do what I'm doing. So any of my friends that's really has something to sell, I tell them how to sell it. I tell them to do it so they can make their own money. For me, I don't think it will be worth it, because unless you have a ton of friends that's local to you, for me, I know I don't. So any friends that want to sell anything with me, they'll have to ship it to me, and it'll just be too much work. But honestly, if you got friends that got shoes, that got clothes, and they don't want to take the photographs, I think it's a good idea. I don't know how much money you can make, because you're basically going to have to charge them like some type of consignment fee. And unless you're doing like 50%, unless y'all splitting profits that way, that to me, that's the only way it'll be worth it. But I mean, give it a shot. It's not a bad idea. It just depends on, your situation. I mean, are you targeting Ross in specific areas? Okay, that's the question. I feel like certain stores place items in stores with certain demographics. Absolutely, that's a fact. Certain places you might go to, even in Arizona, they might have like natural hair care products for, mainly for Black people or people with natural hair, curls or whatever. And then you go to another store and they might have nothing like that at all. So they definitely target certain stores with different stuff. For me, I used to I'm not gonna say Ross is like thrift stores, because everybody knows if you go to a thrift store in a more suburban area, with people that has more money, affluent communities, the thrift stores are gonna be way better. For me, I haven't necessarily seen that. I just go to the Ross that's closest to me, and it's like 3 of them in like a 5-mile radius. So I hit up those 3. I'm starting to hit up those 3 just about every day, just to kind of stay on top of it. But I don't necessarily see that it's a big difference in terms of shoes. But I guess you just got to keep going to kind of check it out and see for yourself. But I know personally, I haven't seen one Ross be better than another Ross. Like, to me, it's all just hit or miss. Let's see. Do you prefer the list auction style or buy it now on eBay? For me, buy it now is the way to go. I only sell things via auction if it's something very rare, like say it's like an antique, something random. I'm picking up this, but this is not antique. Something super random, and I have no clue how much it's going to sell for. And I looked at comps, and I seen comps that were super high, and I seen comps that were really low. Then I might do an auction and start it at whatever I'm most comfortable with getting. So if I get one bid and that one bid is, $20, and all I really wanted out of that item was $20, that's cool. But sometimes you can start a bidding war, and you might sell a item that you only was expecting $20, and it could sell for $100. That's happened to me in the past. But the problem with auctions, the biggest problem with auctions, especially for eBay, is that so many times I've seen buyers have like buyer's remorse. So I might put up an item for auction that very first day, and then they might put a bid in, and the auction is 5 days. So by the 5th day, once the auction is over, they don't even want the item anymore. They don't want to pay for it anymore. So for me, just having that buy it now option just kind of limits the amount of buyer's remorse, because once you do buy it now, they have to pay immediately unless you accept the offer. But for me, I try not to accept offers anymore. So that's what works best for me. Let's see. Kevin P. Did you apply for the $1,000 stimulus grant for small business owners through the EIDL program? Online resellers are eligible for this grant if your sales were negatively affected due to COVID. So honestly, I've seen some of these programs, the PPP program, all of these stuff. Honestly, my sales were not affected. So I felt like morally, I felt like it would be bad if I was to try to even apply for these type of programs, because I know it's other people in other cities Like for perfect example, Arizona was one of the first states to reopen. And if I was still living in California, I would have definitely applied, probably would have got it, because in Cali, I know a lot of people was receiving it because they know in California it's so expensive to, make ends meet. But since we literally moved to Arizona, everything just worked out perfectly. So business didn't necessarily slow down. I ran out of inventory kind of quick. And as soon as I found myself, like my shelves were getting kind of empty, stores started to open back up. So I really was not negatively affected at all. I know I started eating more and I gained some weight, and thankfully I lost that. But outside of that, like just being at home and having that time to kind of reflect and kind of just chill, I took advantage of all the extra time that we had with COVID. I didn't really suffer negatively in terms of sales. I was still making a bunch of sales, and earlier on I was kind of like, I didn't want to even share the sales and make videos because I just wasn't like motivated to make videos. But for the most part, I was still doing good. Sales didn't slack up at all. Let's see. They charge when you list with the reserve. Yep. When you relist with the reserve, any like reserve price on eBay for auctions, they always do that. Dom is in the building. What's going on? What it do? What it do, baby? Let's see. Keenan, never do business with friends. It will never end well. I mean, I'm not gonna say it will never end well, but the odds of stuff happening and the odds of like the relationship getting damaged is kind of high, because some people, especially if they're not a reseller and they don't understand all the work that it takes to be successful, they might not necessarily understand, and they might not respect it. So they might expect you to just do it for them, and then if it sells for 100, you give them $100, and like it didn't take you any time. But that's why I said for me, I just rather not do it. But it's an opportunity out there. Let's see. I've never sourced on Facebook Marketplace until the whole Rona went down. I was a non-believer, but when I put more time into it, I was able to get crazy inventory. But you gotta act quick because it goes fast. So yeah, that's what I would assume. Because on Craigslist, sometimes one thing I used to do, I used to source free items. So on Craigslist, if I would like constantly update it a few times a day, see what was free. I even used to get workout equipment for free. And this was a couple years ago, because of course anything workout related is the price skyrocketed at this point because everybody needs like home workout stuff. But I used to source the free section in Craigslist, and if you got to check that every 10 minutes, because as soon as it goes up, somebody's just sending them email. They're going to call them, they're going to pick it up. And a lot of people build their business off of local marketplaces. So for me, like I always tell people, if you're not like consistent and you're not like a part of that niche, you're going to lose. So if you're trying to source on Facebook Marketplace, you got to do that daily. You got to constantly stay on top of it. And for me, that's not what I'm used to. That's not how I'm used to sourcing. So it just never works for me. Let's see. I've seen in poorer areas, Ross is actually higher priced. Wow, definitely never seen that. I know for a fact I've seen some shoes priced differently in different Rosses, but I never seen what you're saying though. Let's see. I make so much money on Mercari that I still find getting on board with eBay and dealing with all the fees and stuff is just time and money wasted. Am I missing out on a market? Really? No. If you're seeing success on one marketplace, stick to it. Like I'm a firm believer in like, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. If you're doing well on Mercari and you figured out how to like maneuver through that platform, you're doing good. Just stick with what you're doing. I will always say that it's good to list your stuff on different platforms just in case Mercari was to shut down, or if your account was to get suspended, just to like have different options, because you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. But if you figured out how to do well on one platform, there's really no like necessity to go over to something else. When I was only selling on eBay, I was doing really well. And then when Poshmark was kind of new and they just started introducing like the men's category, I hopped in there because I knew I had what potential buyers would be looking for. Now I'm not doing so well on Poshmark, so I'm kind of going back to just really selling on eBay. But sales do come through Poshmark every once in a while, and it's kind of like a very passive situation. But like I said, if you're doing well on one platform, no need to kind of wear yourself thin. You know what I mean? Do you look through the clearance rack at Ross or just their shoes? Yeah, I usually look through. I don't, when I do videos, I don't like show me looking through clearance racks and stuff like that. But when I go to Ross, when I first walk in, I usually always hit the shoes. Then I go to the athletic wear because sometimes they have jerseys and like Nike stuff that's in there that sells for some good money. Sometimes I find stuff for myself, so I might always check the clothes. Then I go to the women's section and check the shoes. Then I might go to the kids section, check the shoes. Like I usually go through Ross and take my time. But lately, I'm just like, especially if I'm doing a video, I usually just show you guys the shoes because that's what people really want to see. Let's see. How's Burlington out there? Out here in North Carolina, they are restocking and still offering the 50% off. Golf shoes everywhere and killing it with that Ross, Burlington, and Marshalls. That's what's up. I got to check out Burlington. The last time I went maybe 3 days ago and it was still completely empty. I actually put some footage in one of my videos showing you guys what it looked like. There's still some shoes in there, but all the shoes in there is like size 15 and up. And then they have a bunch of really cheap cleats that nobody really wants, and they're all 50% off, but it's not even worth it to try to flip. So I don't usually go. I'm gonna go back. I'm probably gonna go tomorrow. I might record some footage because I've been seeing other people saying Burlington is restocking, and you gotta just be consistent. For me, I know I wasn't consistent with Burlington, but I've been hitting up my Marshalls and Ross just about daily. So I'll check it out. Montreal, Canada in the house. What's going on? We got Bluegrass Pickers. What's going on, resellers? Let's see. Kind of racy, but me and the wife have moved into swimsuits for women and lingerie, doing real good on it. Honestly, free advice, thoughts. I sold swimsuits and stuff like that in the past. I never really did like lingerie or anything like that, but I've definitely sold like swimsuits. I think when I found them in the Goodwill, and it was like a whole rack of them, and they were all plus size. And we all know plus size stuff sells best. So I grabbed up all of them. And I think it was maybe 20 or 25 bathing suits that was all brand new with tags. And they sold like as soon as summertime came around, they sold quick. I remember buying them in the winter. So I sat on them for maybe 5 or 6 months. But then as soon as summertime came, they sold mad fast. So I would say sell it. You know what I mean? Continue doing it. If I can find like a good connect to get cheap bathing suits, I'll definitely be doing it too. But that's not even something I think about. But especially right now, summertime, even though, a lot of pools and stuff is still closed, people still want to buy their bathing suits. They might have a pool in their complex like I do. So they might want a bathing suit just for that. They might have a pool in their backyard and they just want to look cute. So go for it. Let's see. Earlier today, I was supposed to pick up something from Facebook Marketplace for $50. Then the seller told me someone else offered her 80 and she will hold it for me if I could do 80. I backed out. Yeah, she was probably full of shit. And I don't believe that stuff like that. People like that, like that's bad karma anyway. So for somebody to even do that, if they agreed with 50 for you, they gotta honor their word. And if they don't, well then forget about it. That's a win for you. That's a good that you avoided that. Don't even worry about that. Have you ever tried sourcing from your local pawn shops? Lots of deals on tennis shoes. Yeah, I definitely went to a couple pawn shops out here. I bought a couple shoes and I got like some camera equipment and stuff like that for some good deals. Sometimes it was stuff that they kind of knew what they had, but they wasn't sure. And usually the thing with pawn shops is that they usually get their prices from eBay. So it wasn't like a huge come up, but especially with shoes, you can definitely get a good come up in there. I'm gonna try to implement some different strategies. I think I need to start just thinking outside the box, because as you guys are talking about Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, I'm like, these are stuff that I probably should be doing, but we get so like stuck in just being consistent with what we like to do, like Ross and the Nike outlets, and we just stick to that. But you're right, I'm gonna definitely try to do some more, and I'm gonna get it on camera so you guys can follow along too. Let's see, Poshmark. It's supposed to have a revival, but I'm also passively participating. I have 700 active listings, but the sharing blows. Yeah, that's one big thing that I noticed with Poshmark. There's some people that's doing really well on Poshmark, but they're not saying that they have a sharing service. And I think that's the big thing with Poshmark. It wasn't always like this. It was at first. I felt like it was like a fair, even. It was like an even playing field, and I think that's the whole concept of sharing. They wanted people to share. They wanted people to have like an opportunity to just share your closet and get it to the top of the search. And at one point, if you had a bot or if you had a sharing service, it was frowned upon. People would say, "Oh, I wouldn't do that." Now, those that are successful on Poshmark are those that have a sharing service. I've yet to see anybody that's killing it, making a ton of sales that doesn't have a sharing service. And to me, it's cool. I'm not going to bash it, but I just know it wasn't always like that. So for me, complaining about Poshmark sales being slow, it's just one of those things. If you want to see success, you probably need to invest in that sharing service because everybody else is on it. I feel like it's almost like bodybuilding. Usually those few people that want to stick and just be natural, on like kind of like Ronnie Coleman, he was natural to a certain point. Then he realized everybody else was on steroids. So he's like, all right, let me hop on the gear because I can't keep up. So that's a random analogy, but that's just how my mind works. Blessings to you and the queen. Have you ever dealt with lost packages on your Poshmark selling journey? If so, how was it dealt with? Yeah, so I had a few packages that I know I dropped off at the post office and they just never, I don't know if they got lost in the post office, if they got lost in transit, but usually anytime that happens, they usually would refund the buyer. And if you have a good track record on Poshmark, they would also release the funds to you as well. That happened to me 3 or 4 times where the tracking just got completely lost. So it was like 3 or 4 times in a little over a year, maybe 2 years at this point. So I'm not going to say it was like a habitual thing, but it does happen. So as long as you have like a consistent track record of, uploading taking your packages pretty soon, they'll refund the buyer and they'll give you the money. If they see that you're not like on top of it and your average shipping time is probably 5 or 6 days, they might just refund the buyer and then I know it's never happened to me, but I'm pretty sure they'll probably just refund the buyer and that's it. Hey Akil, any quick tips to ways to boost sales on Mercari or Poshmark? So I'm not on Mercari, but for Poshmark, I was just saying, I think at this point, you just got to get a sharing service. And sharing services, you could just literally Google it. There's tons of them right now. And I think that's probably the best way to see some sales, honestly, because the whole sharing concept is whack. And if it's just a one person doing it, you're going to have to share it at least 5-6 times a day. I used to be good with just sharing it 2 or 3 times a day and I would get consistent sales. Now you're competing against, robots that's sharing it 5-6 times within an hour. So it's tougher now, but I mean, you just got to adapt. If you want to sell on Poshmark, I'd say, you got to have good pictures. You got to price your items right, because I don't believe in pricing your items super high and waiting for an offer. I just feel like you're basically pricing yourself out of the market. And a lot of people on Poshmark have different strategies. I've seen some people price their stuff super high, and if I like it, they'll send me like a 90% off discount, and it'll make the buyer think that they're getting a deal. But for me, that's just not a strategy that I like. But there's tons of different strategies out there. But I think the number one way is just to get a sharing service, get your stuff in front of more people more often. Let's see. I really like your accent. Where are you from? That's a New York accent. That's Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Let's see. Burlington has yet to restock in my area. Ross and Marshalls are coming back with some solid finds. Yeah, Ross is coming through. I picked up some stuff from Ross today. I got nothing crazy, just a lot of golf shoes, but Ross is definitely coming back with some heat. They got some Air Max that I saw the other day too. They got some heat too. Marshalls, not so much. I've seen I follow Hustler Hacks on YouTube. That's one of my favorite reseller channels, and he does like his live shows. His live show was yesterday, and he was sharing like other people's finds, and people are finding foam posits in Marshalls, Vapor Max, like crazy stuff. But my Marshalls got Levi shoes. My Marshalls got old baseball cleats and stuff nobody wants. But I'm gonna keep going. You never know. Let's see. Should I stop sourcing if I have an overflow of inventory? Well, if you have an overflow of inventory, I would focus on getting that stuff listed. I'm not going to say stop sourcing, because you never know. You can find something tomorrow and that could sell the same day. So I hate to tell people to stop sourcing, but if you have stuff that's sitting and it's not listed, you got to get it listed. You don't want to have a ton of stuff that's just like piling up. You want to get to the stuff that you already have listed, but still go sourcing. If I could, I would the best advice is to do something daily, like every single day, go to the thrift, every single day, work out. Like that's my mindset when it comes to stuff. So I would say keep sourcing if it's working. You know what I mean? But if you got stuff sitting, you got to get that listed. Let me see. I think we got another super chat. Kelly Hustle, that's what's up. Appreciate you for inspiring us out here and showing us if we put in the work, we can get it too. Thank you very much, Kelly Hustle. Shout out to you. I appreciate it. I think that's just what it's all about. You just got to put in the work, put in the time, and that goes with everything. You know what I mean? It's no overnight success. There's no imaginary success plan. It's literally just consistency. If you keep doing the same thing every day and you just try to get 1% better at it, you're gonna see growth. You're gonna see improvements. Let's see. Goodwill opened up this week in my area. There have been long car lines for donations and pallets in the parking lot. Found a lot of good items to resell this week. That's what's up. Because my Goodwill, I hate the Goodwill in this area. Hate is a strong word, but it's true. So I'm gonna stick with it. I really do hate all the Goodwills in Arizona, and it's because they price their stuff so high, and Savers too. Like Savers and Goodwill is in the same like realm when it comes to me. One of the workers in Savers literally told me they priced their stuff higher. Like there was like a vintage T-shirt in there, and it wasn't even vintage. It looked vintage, but it was like a reprint, and the person just priced it, I think, for $50 because they said they know vintage shirts are selling for more money now, so they don't want resellers to come in there and buy it. So I'm just like, y'all don't have stuff in here for me because I'm a reseller and I'm not looking to buy stuff for myself. Y'all not trying to help me out, so I just don't go. And not to say it's something wrong with Goodwill, I just know I don't go because every time I would go in there, I would get upset. So I just don't go. But if your Goodwill is working for you, keep it up, keep going. But I hate Goodwill now. And I used to love Goodwill. Like I used to be in there every day, but now never. I sold a camera lens for $550. I rushed him the lens and put an extra lens, and now he's wanting to return it. What would you do? Because I don't want to give a full refund. Damn, he probably needed it. He's basically renting your stuff. I mean, it's one of those things. Honestly, I would just accept it. I would accept it. But you put in an extra lens. So was the lens that you threw in, was that part of the listing? Because if not, then he probably stole the extra lens that you threw in. So I would still accept the return, because if you don't, I mean, eBay is gonna force it on you anyway. And if they're either gonna make you accept the return, or they're gonna put a ding on your account for not being able to work it out with the buyer. So I would accept the return. Once I get everything back, as long as everything is good, I'll just list it again and chalk it up as business, as cost of business, because that's usually these type of stuff happen. But I'm very interested. Did you add that list? Did you add that lens to the listing, or did you just throw it in like a surprise? Because if you did that, I would not be surprised if that person just is going to keep the lens and then return the camera. That is whack, though. I hate when people do that. Let's see. Beaches are open. A lot of pools are open. My best friends right now are for that Burlington, and then also lingerie. But Ross and Marshall's clearance rack for the stuff is amazing right now. Yeah, that's the thing. Somebody had also mentioned that in one of my older videos. Selling used clothing or selling clothing right now is going to be tough for a while, because all of the stores, when they do open up in different areas, for instance, Nordstrom Rack and Marshall's and all of those stores in my area, when they first opened, everything was on clearance. So people aren't necessarily going to look on Poshmark to buy, something, a cute dress or some shoes like that, really, because everything is on clearance. So it's tough right now in terms of selling certain stuff. I think clothing in particular, because I know clothing is on clearance everywhere. Some stores are closing and they doing liquidation sales. So it's going to be tough for a little while. But I mean, everything only lasts for a little while. You're just going to have to stick with it, do some pivots, and then you'll be all right. I have recently been trying to find some good deals on Let Go and found some good deals from sellers, but they were only willing to pay through Cash App. Are these scams? I mean, if somebody's only willing to pay through Cash App, I would be a little nervous about it. PayPal is a little more safer, but I mean, I would say it's a little suspicious. I would take that with a grain of salt. PayPal is a lot more safer. I think Zelle is even a little safer. Cash App, it's very similar to when people try to scam on Poshmark. People that say only through Cash App. They're trying to avoid the fees, but there's no liability on the seller's aspect. So you can Cash App them money, and they don't have to ship you out the item. So I wouldn't do it. I think it's a scam. I wouldn't do it. What are your thoughts on wholesale shoes? If you can get good shoes, like good brands like Nike, Adidas, New Balance, I would do it. The problem with a lot of these wholesale websites that do sell shoes, they're wholesaling you shoes that nobody wants. That's why they're wholesaling it to you. So you might get maybe one or two good pairs, but the rest are just stuff that even Marshalls and Ross can't sell. So I've yet to do it, and I've yet to see like successful wholesale shoe websites. But if you can get a good deal and the brands are good, the first thing you should do is probably just check the I forgot the name, but it's basically the list of everything that's in the wholesale order. Drop a comment if you guys know what I'm talking about. But every wholesale order usually has a list, like a detailed list of every item in it. So you definitely want to check that out first. Make sure that the shoes that the shoes have a resale value and that you can at least make some profit. Because with wholesale, you don't want to just break even. You got to make some profit. So you definitely want to do that. Let's see. I don't want to waste my time sharing anymore. Yeah, me either. Poshmark is killing me. Poshmark really needs to adapt to a different model. The sharing drives me nuts. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Right there with you. I picked up Vapor Max at Ross today. Hustler Hacks is great too. Yeah, definitely. Hustler Hacks, one of my favorite reseller channels. What kind of Vapor Max was it? Let me know in the comments. The thing when I'm watching other people's videos, I don't even get excited for like, oh, they're gonna make so much money. Sometimes when I see shoes, especially if it's in my size, I'm like, damn, I wish I found those at my Ross because I would have kept them. Like that's how I think about stuff. That's why I get jealous, because I'm like, if I found Vapor Max in my size at Ross, I'm keeping them. You've probably addressed this, but do you do more OA or RA? Definitely way more RA. For those that don't know, OA is online arbitrage, RA is retail arbitrage, and I do way more retail arbitrage. Online arbitrage, maybe once a month I might find a good deal on like the Adidas eBay store. They might have a good deal on there, but for the most part, and I source on Poshmark too, so that's online arbitrage, but I haven't been able to find a good deal on there in a while because, like I said, everybody's using sharing services now. So I'm seeing the same exact items every time I go on Poshmark. And the way how I would source on Poshmark, I would just save the brands. So like I have Nike, Jordan, Adidas, and like a couple other random brands that I follow. And I would just search through the brands. And because everyone has sharing services now, I literally see the same exact stuff at the top of the search. So you kind of just have to, kind of dig deep and really like search through every listing. But it's tough because sometimes if somebody has a good deal on there, by the time you find it, it's already gone. I hate Goodwill too. I don't think they do any good. Yeah, Goodwill isn't good to me at all. I think I like the fact that they offer opportunities for, people with disabilities and stuff like that. I think that's dope, but that's only such a small part of their business model. Like they're a for-profit business. Like what they're doing and calling charity is such at a small scale that they don't get a pass for me. Like it's good that they're doing that, but they could do so much more. But their CEOs and presidents is making millions of dollars a year. So extra insurance. Let's see. Q4 gonna be lit. I always say that. Q4 is always my best profit. Absolutely. Q4 for those that don't know, quarter four, at the end of the year, like from September to December. I think this year in particular is going to be huge because so many people, for whatever reason, a lot of people was making more money on unemployment than they were making in their original jobs. But I think there's going to be so much people that, once everything picks back up, they're going to be shopping like crazy, making up for stuff that they wasn't able to get in the summer or stuff they wasn't able to get in the fall. And Q4 is always big. Regardless of what happens in the economy, people are always going to shop more during that fourth quarter. So I'm still thinking of like how I could get my hands on a good amount of inventory to be prepared for it. I might have to hit up some outlets and try to just buy in bulk and just sit on some stuff, because Q4 stuff, everything flies off the shelf. But I stick to brand new with tags, brand new in the box type of items when I'm dealing with Q4. I remember when I first got into reselling full time, and I would hear people say, "Oh, Q4 is huge," and at that point, I was selling used clothing, and I didn't see the needle move that much because I was selling used clothing, but so many people are buying stuff as gifts, and usually people aren't buying like a used shirt and giving it to a friend as a gift, unless it's something vintage and something unique. That's a little different, but a used Nike shirt, people aren't necessarily going to give that to someone as a gift. So if you're trying to do real well this Q4, make sure it's a brand new in box or brand new with tags, and that's how you really get the money. All that other stuff, at least for me, I know it wasn't really working like that. Let's see. Back to my first question. I'm not selling for any close friends, but I lay out my split before they send me anything so they know what they're getting into. I still got room to improve my strategies, though. Yeah, I mean, it's good that you're up front so people know exactly what you're doing. But like I said, if you got friends that are trying to sell stuff with you, you might just want to build the relationships with them and go through the process. As you do different deals with different friends, you'll kind of tweak it as you go. It's one of those things. It's just one of those things you get better with time. So the more that you're doing it, you're gonna figure out, okay, let me charge them for shipping. Let me have them ship the items to me. Let me put everything in a flat rate box and try to do it like that. Like there's different ways to go about it. So just stick with it. You'll be good. Oh, the 10.5 midnight purple. Damn, that's my size too. The midnight purple with the black. Is it Vapor Max Plus? Damn, those are fire too. I don't got no Vapor Max Pluses. Do you do consignment? Nope. I do not do consignment. Oh, Beatology's in the building. Try Depop and Grail. You sell hounds, do comps. I just opened the store in DTLA. Oh, that's what's up. Good for you. That's what's up. Congrats on that. Opening a store in DTLA. What's the name of the store? Put it in the chat. Hopefully we could get some people going to your store. That's dope. Let's see. College scholarship. What's good? What's going on? Let's see. Goodwill isn't fair at all. Goodwill isn't a Goodwill after all. They get all donations for free and they still price their stuff so high. Yes, it's terrible. Goodwill is literally the epitome of like when capitalism like goes wrong. Like they're just greedy. That's all it is. Just greedy. What is the best size and men's sizes to source? Size 8.5 to 13. I used to say 11.5 wasn't good, but I sell a lot of size 11.5, so I'm not gonna say that anymore. But size 8.5 to 13, size 8, 7, 7.5, those are kind of small, so it'll still sell, but you're gonna have to wait for the right person, the right small foot person. And size 13.5, 14, those are bigger, so you're gonna have people that, of course, there's people that wear big shoes, but that audience is gonna be real small. So your customer base just gets smaller once you go to like really small sizes or really big sizes. Let's see. How much money should I invest to go the full-time level income each month? It's not even about how much you should invest. You got the first step before you go full-time, you got to figure out your expenses, like how much money you need to survive every month. So you need to include all your bills, your rent, how much gas you need, everything, at like every utility that you have, just map those out. And once you figure that out, then you'll know how much money you need to make. And once you figure out how much money you need to make, then you can go from there and figure out how much you need to invest into the business. Usually you want to stick to, a decent profit size margin. Everybody's profit margins are different or more desired. Like everybody's profit margins aren't the same. Some people are happy with making $20. Some people say $20 isn't enough. So once you figure out those first few things, I think I'll be able to kind of answer that question a little better. But once you figure out how much money you need to get by every month and, how much your expenses are, then you'd be putting yourself in a better position to win. I would sell anything from 9 to 12 to get to the masses. Yeah, 9 to 12 is good. I sell a lot of 8.5s. That's why 8.5 came to mind. Let's see. How do you store items when you're just starting out? So I stored everything in just those plastic totes, those big plastic tote bins that you would get at like Walmart or Target. I used to just get a bunch of those. Eventually, I started needing shelves to hold the totes when I started getting a lot more stuff. But you could just start with the totes, then start getting shelves. You could get free totes. You could even try to get like totes from thrift stores. I know they throw away the top a lot, so sometimes you can just ask them if they have any totes without the lid. They might just give it to you. I know I was doing that for a while too. Let's see. I'll do a hell of a deal, way lower than my list. I'm accepting offers. Flyknit 2. Oh, it's Flyknit 2s. I thought it was Plus. Midnight Purple Vapor Max. I'll take a trade too. Put your link in your store and I'll check it out. Because you got me excited. I got to check it out. I got to see it. Let's see. Goodwill keeps... Matter of fact, send me an email. I know everybody doesn't want to put their store information out. Send me an email. Let's see. Goodwill keeps all the good stuff and sells it online. They put out mediocre and junk in the stores. Yeah, they've been doing that for a while. In Santa Barbara, one of my friends, he's still out there, and they told me that the Goodwill out there, they have tons of like big bins, like big racks. And since Santa Barbara is such like a rich neighborhood, they'll get the really good donations. They'll pick through everything. They have a sheet on the wall where they know which brands to look for. And they probably just get these brands from, they probably watch videos like mine and they see what people are buying, how much they're willing to spend. And they just send all those stuff to the online stores. And then certain Goodwill locations is just a hub to get the good quality stuff. And then they decipher the materials to the different stores. So Goodwill got a whole business model that's just crazy. They know what they're doing, but once I figured it out, I just decided not to support them anymore. That was just a personal decision. And the funny thing is, at one point, I was even thinking of doing merch and saying, if there's a Goodwill, there's a way. And I'm glad I never put that merch out, because now I'm like, I hate Goodwill. So I'm glad that I'm just not, supporting them at all. Let's see. Derek Douglas, what's going on? Do you plan on... Oh, yeah, I remember you asked about when we having kids. Do you plan on reselling for the rest of your life? Well, absolutely not. I'll probably resell to some degree forever because I love it, but I don't see myself being 40, 45, running to Ross and trying to make that my main business. I've seen this as a means to an end, literally a way to introduce myself to business, figure out accounting and figure out ROI and all of these business terms and stuff like that. But I'm not going to do this forever. Definitely not this scale, not full time. I'll probably always try to flip a little something here, a little something there, but reselling full time, I just think the older I get, I'm going to want to do different stuff. You know what I mean? I'm the type of person I always want a different challenge. So next 2-3 years, I might be on to something else. I think it's so dope how your wife supports you. Y'all rock. Yeah, I got a real one. For sure. I see her sliding through on the admin. Yeah, she in the other room right now. Let's see. How much inventory do I need to make 10 sales per day on average with mostly athletic shoes? I'm shooting for 1,000. So they say on eBay, like the typical sell-through rate, like a good sell-through rate is like, I guess like 10%. So if you wanted to make 10 sales per day doing shoes, I think it just depends on your price point, because if you were selling shoes that's on a lower end and you got a good shoe that people want, you can flip those really, really quick. But if you're trying to sell more expensive shoes, you might not even necessarily need a ton of inventory, but you might have to wait a while for the right person to come along. So it's kind of tricky. I can't even give you like a definite answer, but if you're trying to make at least 10 sales per day, I would say you would need at least 150 to 200 items in your eBay store or your Poshmark store. You're going to need a ton of inventory to kind of get 10 sales per day, because it's tricky. Some days you might make 10 sales, and days like today, I made 3 sales. But just a few days ago, we had $1,000 in sales. So it's tricky. It's never just, one size fits all type of thing. Let's see. That's why vintage is so good. You have to be knowledgeable about a lot. Goodwill wouldn't have the time to teach it. Yeah, the Goodwill, I mean, vintage is dope, and I think it has a lot of potential. But the thing is, it's weird because with vintage pieces, it's hot right now, and everybody wants it, and it's trendy. But it's like I don't even know how to determine the price points for real, because it's not like shoes where you just type in a style code. if it's subjective. It's just a t-shirt or it's just a pair of pants. So some stuff has a tested and true market, but other things is very subjective. And I might think it's a $20 tee, but the person that loves this band or loves this rapper or loves this whatever that's graphic on the shirt, they might think it's a $500 tee. So I don't know. That's why I never really got into it. Email sent. eBay store is small stuff. I'm gonna check it out for sure. Let's see. I'm very proud of you, bro. You're definitely one of my top YouTube reseller influencers. Thanks for all that you do for this community. Thank you. That means a lot. I definitely appreciate it. I'm in the game. I'm just trying to, give out the value. I think that's the biggest thing. Because at first, when I was on YouTube, when I first got on it, I was already doing pretty well on eBay, and I just started on Poshmark. So I was just trying to share the Poshmark journey. But now, like I think I figured out eBay to the point where, I'm really good at it. I'm comfortable in the fact that like I know what I'm doing, and I'm just a firm believer in karma and putting out good energy. So as long as you keep, I just feel like I'm gonna just keep giving out value, keep sharing the journey, sharing the good and the bad, and hopefully the journey just gets better. You know what I mean? And I like being on YouTube. I like the interaction and just the engagement and answering questions. I think it's dope. So I'm gonna keep doing what I do. Let's see if we got. We got a couple more questions. I was about to get out of here. Let's see. Rock the kicks. You should have between 1,000 and 1,500 to make 10 to 12 sales a day, with a profit of about 25 to 50 per shoe. Sounds like that's the model you got. You just told him your exact business model. Yeah, because it's tough. Like I said, having that amount of inventory. I know for me, having 1,000 pieces of inventory, I have the space for it, but I know I've never hit 1,000 active listings on any platform combined. I never hit 1,000. So I can't even speak to that level of like understanding how much inventory you need. Though at most, I think I had like 800, and that room was flooded. But there's some days, like I said, with the limited amount of inventory when I was only selling clothing, I had inventory that was just my total inventory was maybe 200. And there were still days I would sell 10, 15 items, sometimes 20 items. But, and then there might be a next day where I sell none. So it's very tricky to just say you want to necessarily hit a certain sales mark. I think as long as you price your items right, it's gonna be tough, because if you price your item correctly, you can make a ton of sales by pricing your stuff way under value, way under market, and you make a ton of sales that way. And I seen that's something that I was doing. So I think it's just different ways to do it. Let's see. Omar Rodriguez, I answered your question earlier today. I definitely answered that. Can you post 50 free listings? That was the first question I answered today. Let's see. I think what would better help your sales is to achieve the Poshmark status. It'll change your sale rate on Poshmark. I take tips from you also. I can't figure out achieve the Poshmark Ambassador. I've been a Poshmark Ambassador well over a year at this point. I think Poshmark, the ambassador status, it just brings more followers to you. And I don't even think they're active followers. It's people. I've realized that it's people that if they have a Facebook account and they linked it to Poshmark, once you become a Poshmark ambassador, I think Poshmark just pushes those non-active accounts to your Poshmark account. Drop a comment if y'all agree, but I just realized that the majority of those followers that they send your way once you become a Poshmark ambassador, those accounts aren't even necessarily active. And there's people that's following you. Like once you join Poshmark, you was to start a Poshmark Closet today, you automatically following 200-300 people. So I just think it's kind of different. I think it's kind of like fishy how they do that Poshmark ambassador status. Let's see. Dom had me laughing so hard yesterday when she was talking about the kids. I could tell you knew. Oh yeah, we talk about that all the time. Kids is in our future and it's in our plans, but we just trying to set it up the right way. And I think a lot of people, especially Black people, we don't have the opportunity sometimes to plan stuff out. So now to be in a position where we could actually plan for the future accordingly, we trying to do it. Like we're not trying to have an accident or a random love baby. Like we trying to plan it to the point where it's, everything is in divine order. So that's how we going, because we can, trying to take advantage of what we can do. Let's see. Thanks, bro. My average is $48 per day. $48 per at 3 sales per day. That's not bad. That's real good. $48. That's real good. Good advice and format. Thank you very much. Did the free shipping supply codes work for the basic store? I'm not sure. I just got that random email. It was just, I think it was thanks to you, and I know it was expiring at the end of this month. So I sent it out. I showed it to you. I put it out in that video, and some people said it worked. Some people said it didn't. So I'm not exactly sure, but if it worked, it's free $25. Let's see, $3,487 in active eBay stock, 8,200 in sales in 30 days on eBay. You guys can do it. That's what's up. That's good money. I remember when I first seen like 30 days, just over $5,000 in 30 days, I was so hyped, and I never lost that feeling. Like I still get hyped seeing my numbers, making a sale. Like you never lose that feeling. You got to keep that energy all the time. Even if it's a $20 sale, $5 sale, I still get excited because I think that's the little stuff that keeps you going. Let's see. I think my sales went down when I became an ambassador. That's very possible, because I've heard a ton of people say that. I think the other thing that goes hand in hand for a lot of people, like the goal is to be a Poshmark ambassador. So if you were sharing your closet 5 times a day and you was listing, 20 items a day, once you become an ambassador, some people stop doing that. They stop putting in the work. So that could be a reason why sales slow down. But at this point, I don't know. Poshmark is killing me. I have no clue. I don't know what Poshmark is doing. I didn't even think about that because I don't have a Facebook account. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just think Poshmark, when it comes to that whole Facebook follower, they know people, since they are a social media platform, they know people care about followers. So once you become an ambassador, they're just trying to give you some type of social incentive. But having a bunch of followers on Poshmark hasn't done much for me. And I don't follow a bunch of people on Poshmark either. So it's like, I don't know, it's tricky. Let's see. My sales increased. Granted, I'm consistently sharing and following and joining all the Posh parties. Yeah, I think that it's all about consistency. Everything is all about consistency. Because I know for a fact I don't share as much as I probably should. And I'm kind of over Poshmark. That's why I'm just like hoping that my stuff just sells out. And then that's it. I could just probably move on to Mercari or something else. But I just know Poshmark is not it. Not anymore. I have around 860 items at my Poshmark stores. Most of the items are used women clothes. Still don't have 10 sales a day. Yeah, I mean, right now, selling women's clothing, like I was saying earlier, so many stores, clearance stores, TJ Maxx, Nordstrom Rack, everybody's having clearance sales, liquidation sales. So clothing right now clothing was always a saturated market, but now more than ever, clothing is super saturated. So it's going to be tough, but just stick with it. You know what I mean? You might need to pivot and start going into other categories. You might want to get a sharing service, like I was saying, so that way you can get your items more visibility. But if you were doing good on Poshmark, stick with it. Just got to pivot. You just got to figure out something. For me, Poshmark has been slow since January. So it's a time to make a change, and I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna figure something out. Let's see. This is a random comment. I like your hairstyle today. Looks good. Looks great. Thank you very much. Boy, I had to clean up. I was looking real rough. I was looking real quarantined. It's time I had to, take care of myself. Let's see. The other code was thanks a lot. It depends on what store level you have on which one works. Okay, there it is. Thanks a lot. That's a good. We'll put that in the chat just in case anybody didn't see that one. Thanks a lot for eBay shipping coupon. Thanks a lot. And the other one was thanks to you. So I don't know what level that you might need to use thanks a lot, but I know one was thanks a lot and the other one is thanks to you. So when people see this in the playback, they'll be able to see these coupon codes. All right, y'all. So let's see if there's any other questions in here. Reselling is hard work. I don't see the point of also doing social stuff to trigger sales. That sucks. It absolutely sucks. And at first, I didn't think it was that big of a deal because if you're just sharing your closet 3 times a day, once in the morning, afternoon, at night, it's not that hard work. It's not that bad. But now, since everybody's competing against robots, it makes it very, very tough. So I just think, Poshmark is probably eventually going to figure it out. They might make some adjustments, and then they're going to start doing more marketing. But I've realized my sales started slowing down at the top of the year since Poshmark stopped marketing their stuff as often. I used to see Poshmark commercials every day on YouTube. Now I'm seeing Macari commercials every day. So it's just a matter of them, they probably pivoting. They're probably switching some stuff up. COVID probably messed them up too. They probably seeing a decline in overall sales too. So I'm sure they trying to fix whatever they got going on. But for me personally, I know Poshmark isn't it. All right, y'all. So we did well over an hour today. So I'm about to head out, but I definitely appreciate everybody for joining in. If you guys got any other questions, put that in the comment section. That way I can actually see it, because once this live stream is once I end the stream, I won't be able to see the comments like that anymore. But we're going to keep doing these every week, every Thursday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'm going to drop some more videos for y'all this week again. I'm going to go to Burlington, probably check it out and do some footage in there. Hopefully they restock so I can share something good. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.